Hello and welcome to Databricks Architect Zero to Hero series. It's day 3, and today I'll introduce you to Databricks and I'll also explain and walk you through its components. Alright, so let's get started. So here is the agenda. First of all, I'll explain you what Databricks is, and then I'll do a quick comparison between Databricks versus cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP, and explain you what's the difference between these platforms. And then Databricks loves open source. So today I will talk to you about the open source projects that are tightly integrated with Databricks. It's not just that Databricks consumes these open source projects, but Databricks also contributes the code back to these open source projects. So I explain you what those open source projects are, and then I'll walk you through Databricks UI walkthrough, and also explain you the Databricks free edition. Okay, and then I'll explain you the compute, storage, networking, identity, and governance offerings from Databricks, and towards the end we'll take a look at key takeaways and conclusion. All right, so there are a few prerequisites that I highly recommend you watch. First of all, this video where I've explained data platforms in detail, because Databricks and at the end of the day is a data platform, and it's important that you know what data platforms are, how the architecture works, what are the business value that data platforms add. So I've explained that in the past as well, and you can find the link on the top right hand side corner of your screen. And then there is another video that you should be aware of, is this one where I've explained the evolution of data architecture right from the very beginning, that is 1980s and 1990s, with the evolution of data warehouses and all the way to Hadoop and MapReduce era, and then how exactly Databricks came up and emerged as a data platform that solved all the problems that the past platforms had. So I highly recommend that you watch these videos, and you can find the link on the top right hand side corner of your screen. So all right, what is Databricks? Databricks is an platform or a data platform for building, deploying, sharing, and maintaining enterprise grade data analytics and AI solutions at scale. So it's essentially a platform that allow you to do all these things related to data and AI. So here is a quick synapse from Databricks documentation, where it talks about the offerings that Databricks offer as a platform. You can see on your screen it offers something called business intelligence. So first of all, let me tell you this: on the right hand side corner, you do see something called data analytics, data engineering, data visualization, data science, and machine learning. So these are the outcomes, or these are the key values that any data platform add. So does Databricks. So when it comes to data analytics means making sense of your data, and that particular value is provided by business intelligence and data warehousing capabilities within Databricks. And then data engineering means you clean, refine, and make your data look good, and then that's when the data help you make sense of the trends, and that is achieved via ETL and real-time analytics of capabilities within Databricks. And then data visualization is, look, no one wants to read Excel sheets, boring Excel sheets. People want data to be appealing, and that's what data visualization do. It lets you have a look and make sense of your data in a nice graph or chart format, and is again offered by business intelligence. And then data science is when you spot the hidden trends via data that are not easily available, or that you cannot really spot with the naked eye. That's what data science allow you to do, and that is again offered by AI and data science capabilities within Databricks. And then machine learning is when you predict the future. You figure out what can happen based on the trends that have happened in the past. So Databricks platform also allow you to train your machine learning model and make predict your future. So that is Databricks in a nutshell. Now let me do a quick comparison here with Databricks versus CSPs. First of all, Databricks as a platform is a cloud agnostic platform. What I mean by that is you can deploy Databricks and run and execute Databricks workloads on any of these platforms, be it AWS, Azure, or GCP. Okay, you can run Databricks on any of these platforms based on, again, on your company's internal architecture or business priorities. If your company has already adopted AWS or Azure or GCP, then it makes sense to run Databricks on any of these platforms. That's the first thing. Second thing is, cloud platforms offers these capability like compute, storage, networking, identity monitoring, and governance, right? They offer, all of them offer these capabilities. Now what I'm trying to say here is, I'm not saying Databricks offers these raw infrastructure platforms. No, it does not. But Databricks has got components that fit on all of these capabilities, on all of these segments. So for example, Databricks has got something called compute offering that you can that sit in this. And then Databricks offers something called data lake, which I'll explain in the upcoming slides, where which fits in the storage segment. And then it has got something in the in the segment of identity, like service principles and personal access tokens and things like that. So Databricks, the intent of this slide is to give you a mental model using which you can remember the components of Databricks easily by having this mental model, a reference to a cloud platform's offering. Right, hope that makes sense. And then moving on, Databricks loves open source. So what I mean by that is Databricks is committed to the open source community and manages updates of open source integrations with the Databricks runtime releases. Okay, the following technologies are open source projects originally created by Databricks employees, like Spark, Apache Spark, Delta Lake, MLflow, Redash, and then Unity Catalog and Delta Sharing. So all of these projects are open source, and they're tightly integrated with Databricks. In a moment, I'll take you to a browser and explain you these open source projects in detail. Okay, and then let me move on to another slide, and then we'll go to a browser and have a look at these projects. So Apache Spark, let me deep dive a bit into Apache Spark here. So Apache Spark is not an operating system, right? As you can see here, it is a sample architecture diagram that I have created for your understanding. So let's assume that you have deployed Apache Spark on a Kubernetes cluster. So Kubernetes clusters offer you the infrastructure here, and then on top of these clusters sits pods. These pods would have operating system running, be it Windows or Linux. On top of this operating system, you would have your Apache Spark running. So Apache Spark is a compute engine that help you do this distributed data processing. Okay, it's not an operating system. Many people came up and told me, hey, is Apache Spark an operating system? No, it's not. It's a distributed compute engine that allow you to run your data intensive workloads. So that's the first thing. And second is, what is MLflow? MLflow, again, a lot of people think MLflow is an infrastructure monitoring, AI infrastructure monitoring solution. No, it's not. MLflow is a platform for managing the machine learning lifecycle. And as I said here, MLflow is for managing experiments, models, and deployments. It's not primarily for monitoring infrastructure. So MLflow offers capabilities like model registry, which you can use for managing model versions and stages, model deployment, model packaging, and experiment tracking. So MLflow helps you log all your metrics, and then compare the performance. So it's more of a lifecycle management solution for your machine learning workloads. Okay, moving on. So the first thing is Databricks Workspace. I'm sure you might have heard of this a lot. So what is Databricks Workspace? Databricks Workspace is your central hub for accessing all your database objects and features. And here is a quick snippet of how Databricks Workspace looks like. Okay, now let me quickly take you to the browser and explain you Databricks Workspace, and then also the open source projects that I talked about in the previous slides. All right, we are in the browser right now, and let's quickly have a look at the Databricks free edition. So, as you can see, yes, we use this Databricks free edition workspace, and include the URL of this workspace in the description so that you can go ahead and sign in yourself. So there are two things that you should be very familiar here and mindful of. The first is workspace. It's a place where you can go ahead and create your workloads and play around with that. So you can create lake houses here and test it out. And then here is catalog section where you can create catalog and schema and put it on top of it and leverage it for Unity catalog. I'll explain all of these things in detail in the upcoming videos. But for now, just remember and just I'm explaining this for for to give you some sense and feed of how the Databricks workspace look like. And then here is a compute section where you can create your compute and tie this compute to your Databricks workspace and execute your queries like in SAP. And here is SQL editor where you can write your SQL queries and run them against your data. And if there are any SQL queries that you frequently use, you can save them and they would be visible here. And then here is data engineering section where which allow you to ingest data from different database, different data platforms or different sources. Bring your data from there and run your queries against that data and make it clean and look good. And then here is AI ML playground where you can
test, or you can query agents and type in your prompt, do prompt engineering, and talk to your data in a natural language. And then here is AI gateway, experiments, features, and other thing. So I'll include the URL of this workspace in the description so you can go ahead and sign in and test things out yourself. And then very importantly, there is database marketplace where any company who wants to publish their data products can do that. As you can see, few companies, a lot of companies have already done that. You can see Faxer has published their data product here, and there are many data products that they have published, and 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 there are other companies that have also done this. And the fact that you're able to do this leveraging this data sharing technology, it's an open source project again. Okay, so let's move on to open source projects. So it is Apache Spark. It's a compute engine that lets you query your data, play around you with your data, and do all that computation. And then here is the data sharing. Again, an open source project that allows you to securely share your data with the wider world. The one that I've just shown you. And here is data lake, which is an open source storage formats that allow you to build, format agnostic lakehouse architecture. And Databricks uses this format as a default. In the latest MLflow, again, an open source format that allows you to track your machine learning lifecycle and machine learning workloads. Here is Apache structured streaming as an open source project that allow you to stream your data using both batch and other forms of streaming, and then ESV dash, which allow you to make sense of your data, visualize your data as again in open source project. And here is Unity Catalog, which is and again an open source project that allow you uh, to do data lineage, data quality management, and all of these things. So these are the few open source projects that are very tightly integrated with the database ecosystem.
Governance, as I said, Unity Catalog is a governance layer. What Unity Catalogs allow you to do is it allows you to track your data, data quality management, data lineage, and explain all these things in the upcoming videos. But for now, just remember that Unity Catalog is a governance capability within Databricks that allow you to govern your data. And you govern your data. When I say govern your data, what you do is you track the quality of it, where the data originally originated from, and track the flow of your data in your company. Okay, and that's what Unity Catalog allow you to do. And then IAM, so identity and access management. Within IAM space, Databricks offers something called personal access tokens. So here is a workspace, your Databricks workspace, and you can control the who accesses this Databricks workspace, leveraging all these capabilities. First is you can give access to a user using their email. That's very straightforward, and they'll get access to your workspace. If there are a group of users that you want to give them access, then you can create a group and add all of your users there, and they'll get access to workspace. But there is a service principle that you want to give access to workspace. So you have blocked access, manual access to workspace. You only want a service principle to access your workspace. You can do that as well via using service principle capability. And then there are certain API calls that talk to your workspace, then you can do via personal access token. And then you can also leverage access control list to really limit and fine grain and give fine grain access to people in your company. So these are the capabilities that Databricks offers in the IAM space, leveraging which you can control who accesses your workspace. This is the first thing. Second, moving on to storage. So within storage space, Databricks offers something called Delta Lake. Delta Lake, not Delta Table, sorry. Delta Table is an open source format for storing your data. It offers transaction logs and Parquet format. It's a default format for all Databricks tables. Reliability, and it offers reliability and asset transactions. It's an open source project, as I said before, and it offers decoupled storage and networking. That's storage. Now, what is in the compute space? Databricks offers something called clusters. Clusters is a set of computation resources and configurations on which you run notebooks and jobs. So there are two types of clusters that Databricks offers: all-purpose and job clusters. So what's the difference between the two? Job clusters are sort of automated. They are non-interactive. They terminate on job completion. They're well suited for executing a job, whereas all purpose clusters are interactive analysis, shared they're shared, and manual termination is required. And then there is something called SQL warehouses that you can use for to run your SQL queries and visualize your data. So these are the capabilities that Databricks offers in the compute space, that is job clusters and all purpose clusters, and then pools and runtimes. So, what are pools and runtimes? Let's quickly look at that. So, pools are a set of ideal instances. It's ready to use instances that reduce cluster start and or auto scaling times. And when you attach to a pool, when attached to a pool, a cluster allocates its drivers and workers nodes from the pool. So, pools are nothing but a set of ready to use instances that reduce your cluster start and auto scaling times. And then if the pool, let's assume if a pool doesn't have sufficient idle resources to accommodate the cluster's request. Okay, so here is the clusters and this is a pool. If it doesn't have, then pool expands by allocating new instances from the instance provider. It tries to bring in new instances from the instance provider. And when an attached cluster is terminated, let's assume if any of these clusters are terminated, the instances it used are returned to the pool. So again, these instances are returned back to the pool and can be reused by a different cluster. So that's instances and pools. And then Databricks also offers something called runtimes, right? The runtimes are your they allow you to execute your workloads. There are two types of runtime: standard runtime, that's with Spark and plus optimization, and then there is ML runtime that allow you to run your machine learning workloads like TensorFlow, PyTorch, and so on and so forth. Now, moving on to data engineering segment. So within data engineering, Databricks offers something called autoloader, which allows you to ingest data, raw data from sources like S3 bucket, Azure storage, and all other different storage formats and different storage sources. And then you bring in here, you can leverage Lakeflow to write your data pipelines in a declarative manner, and then you can clean and refine your data. So these are two capabilities that Databricks offer: autoloader and Lakeflow pipelines in the data engineering workspace, in the data engineering segment. Now, moving on to data warehousing. Within data warehousing segment, Databricks offers something called SQL editor that you can use to write your SQL queries, and then you would run those SQL queries on a SQL warehouse compute, and then you visualize that data in the form of AI/BI dashboards. And then in the machine learning segment, Databricks offers something called Mosaic AI. That's an end-to-end machine learning platform using which you can train your model. You can feature store it, you can experiment using MLflow, and then it also offers model registry. And then within generating AI space, so this is machine learning and this is generative AI. Within generative AI space, Databricks offers something called a AI playground. As I showed you initially, it's a playground to test, prompt, and compare. You can do natural language here, write in your language, and play around with the data. And then it also offers foundation models like third party models like OpenAI, Hugging Face, and Llama, and you can also fine tune using your custom data. So and then interfaces. So you can leverage as a you can interact with Databricks using UI that I initially showed. You can also do via REST API. You can also talk to Databricks via CLI, and you can also do CI/CD. So these are the various methods using which you can interact with your Databricks platform. That's it. That brings us to the end of this video. Hope you found this video helpful. If yes, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends and colleagues. See you in the next video.